Today we're going to look at the perimeter of a rectangle using a formula. So first of all, let's just determine how we know that the shape we've got is a rectangle. So a rectangle has four sides, but two sides that are opposite are the same in length, and these two sides which are opposite are also the same size in length. So you can see I've got this side here is 70, this one 70, 40 and 40. If these sides were different measurements, so this one was 45, this would no longer be a rectangle. All right, so the opposite sides have to be the same length for it to be a rectangle. So let's have a look at the perimeter. So last week when we looked at it, we added up the different sides. So we went 70 plus 40 plus 70 plus 40, and we added all of those numbers up and we got the perimeter. There is another way that you can work it out using a formula. So we're going to have a look at that formula today because it makes things a little bit easier. When we look at what we've written up here, you will notice that we can probably divide it into two parts that look exactly the same. We've got a 70 plus a 40 here and a 70 plus a 40 here. So really when we look at that all together, we've got two lots of 70 plus 40. So what we can write is when we've got two lots that are exactly the same, we can use a multiply. So we can go 2 times. Now we want to have the 70 and the 40 held together. So we're going to put brackets around those. 2 times 70 plus 40. Now when you're a mathematician, when you see brackets, you do the brackets before you do anything else. So you need to do the stuff that's inside the brackets first. So what we would need to do is do the 70 plus the 40 first. So we would go 2 times, and then what is 70 plus 40? So we would have 110. All right, and then we can do the last part. We can go the 2 times 110, which would equal 220. So we can work it out that way. We can also use a calculator to work it out. And if we do, we simply type in the equation that we had right at the beginning. So that was 2 times, and then we're going to put our brackets in, and then we're going to write in what we had inside the brackets. So 70 plus 40. Then we're going to close the brackets again, and we're going to hit the equal sign. And then it gives it our answer here as 220. Now that helped us work out the perimeter of the rectangle that we had, but can we come up with a rule that we can use for all rectangles? We already know that the opposite sides are the same, but we need to give some names or general names to these sides, because we can't say, oh, it's the 70 side and the 40 side. We need to have some names that we can give to these sides that we can use for all rectangles. So when we're in maths and we're looking at the side that's along the bottom here, we refer to it as the length. Now because this side is exactly the same as this side, this one is also called the length. Now the one that goes up here, we refer to it as width. Now width is another word that is related to the word wide. All right, so really we're looking at how long it is, which is length, and how wide it is, which is width. All right, so this one over here would also be width. All right, so if we go back and we have a look at what we did with the previous one, all right, we could have gone length plus width plus length plus width. Now once again, when we look at this, we've got two parts that are the same. We've got a length and a width, and we've got a length and a width. So what we can say is we've got two lots of, so multiply the length plus the width. And we're going to put the brackets around the length and the width because those two things need to go together, and we need to do this part first before we do the multiply. Now as I've said, mathematicians are very, very lazy people, and they're not going to write this out all the time, all right? So what they will say is that the perimeter, and they use a P for perimeter, equals 2 times, and they're not going to write out length plus width. They're going to write the L for length plus the W for width. So our formula that we use is perimeter, or P, 2 times the length and the width. Now, depending on what the length and the width are, depends on what we would write in here. So let me give you an example. So I'll just erase all this first. Alright, so I've got rid of everything, and let's put our formula back up the top that we're going to use. So perimeter equals 2 times the length plus the width. So if I'm looking at my rectangle over here, and this time I'm going to say, alright, our length is going to be 80 and this is going to be 40 up here. So when I go and I try to do this equation, I need to replace the length and the width in this part with the numbers that I've got over here. So we would write the perimeter is going to equal 2 times, now how long is our length? Our length is 80, so we're going to replace the L with the 80 plus the width. Our width is the 40, so we're going to replace the W with the 40 because that's how long the width is. Then I can get my calculator again and I can work that out on my calculator. So I type the equation in exactly the same as we had it before, but we don't put the P in. So we're going to go 2 times, and then we're going to write our brackets in, 80 plus 40. We're going to close the brackets again. Now calculators are very, very smart because they know as soon as I put the brackets in that I need to do this part first. If I was working it out without the calculator, I would need to remember to do the stuff inside the brackets first before I did the multiply. So we're going to hit our equals, and it gives us our answer of 240. So going back to here, our P, get rid of that, equals, so we've worked that out on our calculator, is 240. Now remember that P means perimeter, so the perimeter of this rectangle is 240. So that's how we can use a formula to work out the perimeter of a rectangle.